All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I want to talk about what might be the single greatest opportunity in all of cryptocurrency today. So if you like the sound of that, if you want to find out more about this project and everything we know so far, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to be notified of new uploads. And without further ado, let's delve into it, folks. The cryptocurrency that may be the key to mine and yours financial freedom is PulseChain. Now, what is PulseChain? Why do I think this cryptocurrency has 10,000x price growth potential? What is this all about? When is it coming out? Well, folks, let's start to delve into it. PulseChain was created by Richard Hart to solve a problem. The problem is ETH and its gas fees. For those who don't know, Ethereum is a layer 1 smart contract blockchain that allows smart contracts to be built on top of it and other tokens to run on the ecosystem. Now, the problem with ETH is, if anyone's tried to use a network lately, you know that the gas fees are absolutely insane. We've seen up to several $100 transactions just to send, buy, or swap something. $100, $150, $200. I've seen some gas fees all the way up to the several $100 ranges. So folks, this network, Ethereum, is completely unusable if you're not some already rich mega whale. So in order to solve this problem, Richard Hart, the founder of the famous cryptocurrency Hex, is now coming out with a new project called PulseChain, which is meant to be a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum. What PulseChain is doing is it's copying the entire system state of Ethereum and just plopping it over on a new chain with new parameters to make the whole thing run faster and cheaper through larger block sizes and fewer validators, thus allowing for faster, cheaper transactions on the network. So let me be very clear about what PulseChain entails, folks. PulseChain will be the largest airdrop in history. Every single NFT, every single ERC20 will be copied on the PulseChain network. That means your Chainlink, that means your Uniswap, that means your stable coins, USDT, USDC. So while we don't know what value these coins, these copied coins are going to have on the PulseChain network, they will presumably have some kind of value. So in preparation of PulseChain soon coming out, I've been moving my cryptocurrencies to different MetaMask wallets in anticipation of an upcoming snapshot, because sometime in the near future, the developers of PulseChain will copy the system state of Ethereum. So you're really going to want to have all your ERC20s on a wallet that you're in control of, not exchange wallet. So I've personally been moving all my non-ERC20 cryptocurrencies into ERC20 forms and moving them onto wallets that I have the private keys to. Now, something else to know: if you are a Hex staker, you will get your liquid Hex and staked Hex both copied onto the PulseChain. So it's going to be very easy, folks, to move from the Ethereum network to the PulseChain network. If you have your MetaMask, if you go to your MetaMask in the top right, it'll say Ethereum mainnet. There will simply be an option to switch from Ethereum mainnet to PulseChain mainnet once the details come out, to add that option, and you'll just be able to switch back and forth. We also have quite a few projects planning to be built on PulseChain: Liquid Loans, Sync Network. We can see there's quite an extensive list here, folks, and PulseChain isn't even out. The mainnet version 2 is not even out. Now, the mainnet version 2 is being rumored to be released in a couple weeks here, and once it does, we're going to get much more precise numbers on what the total supply will be, what your allocation will be if you participated in a sacrifice phase. So we have all that to look forward to. So again, folks, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to be notified of new uploads, because we will be updating you guys as more developments come. I'd also invite you guys to follow PulseChain News and Talk on Twitter. They're tweeting out a lot of very important updates on what's going on with PulseChain, the mainnet, release dates, that kind of thing. And according to them, it seems like we're going to have a max supply of 130 trillion Pulse, but with mainnet version 2 quickly approaching, we're going to get a much more solid sense of those numbers in the very near future here. Again, mainnet version 2 is rumored to release in the next couple weeks here. And folks, just to get a sense of the excitement behind this project, if we go to pulsely.xyz here, we can see that there's already been over $670 million worth of different cryptocurrencies sacrificed to the PulseChain sacrifice phase. Where for those who don't know, the way funds were raised for PulseChain was through a sacrifice phase where you send crypto from a pre-selected approved list of different cryptocurrencies, and in return you receive PulseChain sacrifice points, which will presumably lead you to get Pulse later down the road. Now, something to note here, that the vast majority of this actually came from the Hex origin address. So I believe it was the last hour of the PulseChain sacrifice phase. The Hex origin address came in and sacrificed several $100 million worth of Hex. So the vast majority of the supply will be in control of the Hex origin address, which is rumored to be in control team of the Hex developers. Nobody knows for sure, but that's very likely who's in control of it. Now, some people bring up the point, which is, hey, if the Hex origin address is sacrificed the vast majority of what was sacrificed, and therefore is going to get the vast majority of the Pulse token supply, does that not present a security problem to the PulseChain network, since PulseChain is proof of stake and not proof of work? And in order to secure the network and reach consensus, individual participants in the network need to stake their coins to a validator, and it's the validators that make sure the network reaches a state of consensus. So couldn't Richard Hart and his lackeys just completely control all of validators and thus make the whole network susceptible to risks of centralization? So in response to that point, Richard Hart had this to say.
There was a swooping in at the last minute of the Pulse raise, where basically somebody took about 90% of the supply. Some entities or entity decided to swoop in and do that. So my question is, does them holding that many tokens on a proof of stake network represent a centralization risk? And if
they want to blow their brains out and run all the nodes themselves and outbid everyone else out of running a node and make that tiny little bit of extra yield by running all the nodes, but introduce centralization risk, why would they do that? BSC didn't do that. Go look at the BSC nodes. They're decentralized. You don't think CZ could just go in there and be like, hey, actually, I'm going to run all the nodes? He could, but why? It'd be worse for the network. So you
think he owns more than half the network?
No,
or
I'm
the
telling
tokens?
you he doesn't.
Half the tokens, I mean.
From what I've heard about the BNB ownership percentage breakdown, it's very, 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 very highly centralized. Extremely massively highly centralized is what I hear. And once again, you can go on Etherscan and see that the top 100 addresses hold 95% or 94%. So what I'm saying is that your question is of the form, hey, if someone wanted to hurt their thing, could they hurt their thing? Yes, Elon Musk could decide to just make dildos instead of cars. He could do that.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Do with that what you will. Now, is there any other piece of major news that we should be aware of with PulseChain? Well, Richard Hart has this to say about that.
What's after PulseChain is launched? Any planned project coming up? Pulse Swap. It's like a Uniswap V2 fork on PulseChain, where all that cool yield farming can happen.
So, folks, that is a very big deal what Richard Hart just said. So let me be very clear. Let's name the amount of tokens that are part of the Richard Hart ecosystem. Number one, we have Hex. Hex was meant to be a certificate of deposit crypto on the blockchain. To put it simply, Hex is trying to be the de facto bond market of the crypto markets. Now we also have PulseChain. PulseChain is trying to be the infrastructure that everything is built on top of. But now Richard Hart has said there is now a third token of the Richard Hart ecosystem, that being a Pulse Swap token, which is meant to be a liquidity provider incentivization token, very similar to PancakeSwap to Cake to PancakeSwap, or the Uni token to the Uniswap. So folks, while there are a lot of very interesting projects building on PulseChain, I'm personally very interested in the blue chips. We have Hex, we have PulseChain, we have PulseSwap, all three coins that are very likely to do well over the years, in my humble subjective opinion. Now folks, let's get to the good stuff. Why do I think PulseChain could do a 10,000x price growth? Number one, while I don't know that for sure, I could very well be wrong. We've seen it happen with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin from 1 penny to $68,000 is like a 6.5 million x. Ethereum from all-time low to all-time high, 14,000x. Folks, Thousands of X growth over the years happens all the time in cryptocurrency. So PulseChain, that's meant to be a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum, I think has a very solid chance of seeing the kind of price growth that similar projects have had in the past. But wait, hold up. Aren't you saying, Brandon, aren't there like 5 dozen competitors to Ethereum, all trying to be faster, cheaper versions of Ethereum? Why is PulseChain any different? The reason why PulseChain uniquely might be a superior option to all the several dozen Ethereum competitors is because of the fact that PulseChain is skipping the biggest problem that all Ethereum's competitors have. Folks, there's a bit of hidden genius that really isn't being appreciated here, which is every single Ethereum competitor, that's Cardano, that's Polkadot, that's Elrond, that's AVAX, that's Zilliqa, Hathor, you name it. There's dozens and dozens of layer 1 smart contract blockchains, all faster and cheaper than Ethereum, but that all have the same problem, which is they all have to try and build out a massive ecosystem and then onboard users. It's not as simple, folks, as simply creating a fast, cheap infrastructure. Then you have to build a fast, cheap ecosystem on top of that and then onboard users. Folks, there is a reason why Ethereum is the #1 layer 1 smart contract blockchain in the world, and it's because it got to market first and has years of a head start against its competitors in building out an ecosystem and onboarding users. Folks, Cardano, Polkadot, AVAX, these are all fast. Elrond, these are all faster, cheaper chains than Ethereum. Well, why aren't they bigger than Ethereum? Because they need to do the hard work of building out an ecosystem and then onboarding users. Ethereum has had years and years of advance notice to do this. That's why it's on top. That's why it's #1. So PulseChain is saying, screw that biggest problem that all these other people are facing. I'm just going to copy the entire ecosystem of Ethereum, plop it onto a new chain with these new parameters that are going to make it run faster and cheaper. And sure, you might argue it's more centralized, and sure, I would feel fine conceding to that. But point being, PulseChain gets to skip the hardest part of being an ETH competitor, which is building out an ecosystem and onboarding users, because it's going to copy its ecosystem and airdrop a bunch of free tokens to all of Ethereum's users. Folks, PulseChain ain't going to come out anytime soon. From what we know, it seems like it might be a couple weeks away, a couple months away. We don't know. But when this thing comes out and every single Ethereum user is going to get a free copy of all their ERC20s on a new, faster, cheaper network, can you imagine the hype and the attention that this thing is going to have? I mean, folks, PulseChain is going to be the biggest thing in crypto for a while, and that's why I participated in the sacrifice phase, and that's why I plan to dollar cost average my way into this thing heavily when it comes out. So just to hover on that point for a second further, folks, PulseChain, in my opinion, is very likely to be correlated to the rest of the cryptocurrency market, because PulseChain, unlike Hex, will not have lockup mechanisms, meaning when you go to stake with a validator to get a percentage of the fees accrued through gas, there will be no lockup time. And if there is, it's probably going to be very short, maybe a day or two or something, before you can withdraw without a penalty. I'm not sure, but point being, there will be no feature for you to lock up supply in PulseChain, meaning it's very likely to move alongside of the rest of the crypto market. And if PulseChain launches in a couple months, in a year, who knows? It's very unlikely to be a year from what I'm hearing, but whenever it launches, if this thing launches in a bear market, it is likely to be affected by whatever PulseChain or whatever Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing as well. So my plan with PulseChain is to not go all in all at once, but to dollar cost average throughout the first couple months that it comes out into every single major dip. This thing goes live, has a 40% dip, I buy. 70% dip, I buy. 80% dip, I buy. And for the first 6 months to a year that this thing is out, I just buy every single major dip, whatever I can, and then hold this thing up until 2024, 2025, which is the next likely bull market, because cryptocurrency is typically moved in these 4-year cycles due to the Bitcoin halvings, where every 4 years the amount of new Bitcoin being introduced in the market gets cut in half, which adds a supply shock feature into the market, which usually kickstarts a bull market, meaning I think the real money, when we could see that 1,000x growth, when we could see that 10,000x growth, will only happen, I think, at the very tail end of the next bull market, meaning around 2025, because the next Bitcoin halving is 2024. So I would say the next bull market is likely to be sometime around 2025. So what I am saying here, folks, is while I do not know for sure, while I could be totally wrong, while Meter could hit the earth and the global internet shuts down and all these cryptocurrencies go to zero, what I am suggesting is I think there is a solid chance that by 2025, PulseChain, Hex, PulseSwap could see thousands of X price growth. And I think over the years, PulseChain has a very good chance of seeing over 10,000 X price growth, just like other cryptos have, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And while it took years, folks, I mean, you're not going to see these kinds of gains in any other market in the world. Look, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. This video's gone on long enough. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified of new uploads, because PulseChain is one of the most exciting opportunities in all of cryptocurrency. And as updates and news and release dates and price action and TA and news and updates and onboardings and bridges, all that stuff comes out, we will be letting you guys know. Like and subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified of new uploads. Join our Discord, join our VIP Discord if you want access to our take profit strategy and our accumulation strategy for this cycle and the next and all the cycles to come. Make sure you become a VIP Discord. Remember, you get access through our Patreon. Link for that is down in the description below. As well, folks, my partner here on this channel, Messin, recently made a fantastic video on a beautiful low cap gem, VVS Finance. If you guys want to find out more about this low cap gem, with I think it has over 20,000 APY for staking right now. Don't quote me at that. I think currently at the time of recording, I'll leave a link somewhere for that video somewhere in the top here. Make sure you go check that out, folks. Like and subscribe. Click all the buttons. YouTube likes it when you click buttons. And until next time, folks, take care.